A Begin in the Dark by Nohai Jiachi. Chapter 2. Do Better. Suspended for 4 days. It was kind of inevitable, really. He did send Kachan to the hospital, and pretty much the entire school knew about it already. He probably got it light, all things considered. Maybe the principal took pity on him. An upside, I guess, is... The car ride is silent, and Izuku could feel the anger radiating from his mom. He knows he should apologize for everything he put her through, but he can't find it in him at the moment. The confrontation with Miki has left him utterly devoid of energy, and as happy as he is to have his friend back, he's a complete emotional mess. I should probably get back to the principal's office, he sighed, getting up. The more I wait, the worse things will get. Miki nudged him a bit.
I'll text you later, okay?
He smiled at her before getting into the building and walking back to the office where a seething mom and a positively desperate principal were waiting.
We are going over to Katsuki's house later, and you will apologize.
Mom's voice cut through his musing like steel, rudely jerking him back to reality. Yes, he replies, voice low.
I mean, really apologize.
Mom adds,
what you did today, I don't even know what's with you.
She sighs.
Izuku, we really need to talk.
I know, he says. I know, just... I'm not ready for it now. He can hear Mom's fingers tighten on the steering wheel. I really am sorry, Izuku adds, voice lowering. I know what I did was wrong, I know. And I know there's a lot we need to talk about, just... not today. Silence. Please? Inkle's shoulders slumps forward. Okay, she whispers. Okay. The visit over at the Bakugos goes as well as you expected. Get in here! I'll destroy you! Mitsuki Bakugo circles her son's neck with her arm and he immediately falls silent despite his enraged expression. Izuku steps forward, not lowering his head. It's not all bad being blind sometimes, he thinks, knowing he'll never be able to maintain eye contact with a woman that for a time had been like a second mom to him otherwise. Bakugo-san? Kanchan? He says, voice measured. I'm sorry. What I did today was wrong and it will not happen again. He bowed, formal. I apologize. You little...
That is enough, Katsuki,
Mitsuki says, not letting her son go. Her voice does not betray any emotion. Izuku, get up. He does. I don't know what Katsuki did to make you snap like that, but I know this was not a one-sided issue. Katsuki owes you an apology as well. I'm not apologizing, woman! She sighs, shaking her head. What did I do wrong with you? She wonders aloud and Kachan grumbles a bit. I'm really mortified, Inko interjects, but Mitsuki holds her hand up. You are both young and will feel like doing rash things at times, Mitsuki says, clearly addressing Izuku. But you are also both smart, and I trust this will be the end of it and you will act civilly toward each other from now on. Am I clear? Yes, ma'am, Izuku replies. Katsuki! She pushes as the silence stretches. Alright, fine, Kachan finally says. I'll leave this crap alone from now on. Mitsuki groans. Honey, your next words should have been, I'm sorry. Izuku chuckles, surprising even himself. He knows the all turned to stare. It's okay, he says, his voice a little sad. I think this will be as good as it gets. The image of his old friend smiling at him, blurred and distorted, comes up to mind. But Kanchan is not 4 anymore. Izuku, for the first time in years, wonders how he looks like now. Izuku also wonders if this is how grief feels like. Mom blessedly leaves him be for the rest of the day, bringing some onigiri upstairs and putting the plate on his desk, not forcing him to come down to the kitchen. He munches on them distractedly, listening to the last episode of Almightiest podcast. But to be honest, he's only catching a word out of 5. There's so much to mull over. He made peace with Miki, he apologized to Kachan, and he still has to talk with Mom. The thought weighs on him like a rock. There's so much in this tangled mess that are his thoughts and feelings. So much even he cannot put his finger on. So much confusion. How do you untangle a ball of yarn if you can't even find where it starts? He's startled out of his thoughts by the booming voice of All Might in his ear. It's when you are at your lowest that you have to smile even brighter. If you do that, if you never give up, light will be sure to come. Inspiring words as usual from our favorite hero. The excited voice of his favorite podcaster came back. I swear I could listen to him talk for years. I don't know how he does that. Sincere laughs followed the exclamation. Izuku pauses the podcast and slowly takes the earbud out. He walks to his closet, kneeling down to take a dusty box out. He fishes an All Might figurine out of it, tracing the features with his fingers. All Might is smiling. All Might is always smiling. I will not let you down this time, he whispers. Izuku, wake up. We have to go somewhere. Izuku mumbles, palming at his nightstand with a hand until he finds his clock. He pushes the button and the cheerful robotic voice announces that it's 5 in the morning. Mom! She chuckles, gently swatting at him. Come on, sleepyhead. Izuku drags himself to the bathroom, washes himself, and starts to put on his school uniform until he remembers. Right, he's suspended. He puts on jeans and a shirt instead, shuffles his way downstairs, Mom pushing a backpack in his arms as soon as he emerges on the kitchen doors. Here, take this. You can eat something on the way. Izuku is too sleepy to ask where they're going at that time in the morning, so he just dutifully climbs in the car and off they go. The drive goes for what feels like hours, and Izuku, he's sure he fell asleep at some point, but Mom did not wake him up. What time is it? He mumbles, rubbing the sleep off of his eyes when he's jostled awake by an uneven road. 7 in the morning, Mom answers promptly. We were almost there. 7? He blinks, perplexed. Where? It's a surprise, Mom says, a smile in her voice. They fall silent after that, but it's a comfortable silence, nothing like the tense one that they've experienced just a day prior in that same car. Finally, the car slowly brakes to a stop, and Izuku unbuckles himself, jumping off. As soon as he's out, he smells it, the salt in the air, and he hears it, the gentle sound of waves. A kind wind laps at his hair, tickling his nose. Come on, Mom says, cheery, taking his wrist and guiding him. Izuku feels the softness of the sand under his shoes as soon as they set foot in it. Here, give me a hand. I'm putting down a tablecloth. He silently obliges, then let himself being guided to sit down. What are we doing? He asks after 6 waves. Having a picnic, obviously. Mom replies, rummaging in her bag and putting down paper plates and Tupperwares of food. I can see that. Izuku hesitates on the word. He hears Mom stopping her movement at his side, and then she sighs. You loved going to this beach when you were little, remember? Izuku does. It was all before his eyes betrayed him, of course. He remembers the color of the sea like a far, unfocused watercolor piece, and he thinks he remembers how a seagull looks like. Maybe. You're not a kid anymore, of course, Mom continues, thoughtful. You're not that kid anymore, but you're still my son. Silence stretches between them. Mom resumes her preparing the picnic, slower. I only wish for you to be healthy and happy. Her voice is lower. But there's only so much I can do. Only so much I can control. And you have to walk forward and live your life. But Izuku, I want you to know I will always be there for you no matter what. Whenever you will need me, I will be there. You can tell me everything and I will listen. I am proud of you, Izuku. I'm proud of how brave and smart you are. I'm proud of how you took your life in your own hand and charged forward, and I think I should have told you this more. His eyes sting, as does his nose. Mom! So listen, the person you were yesterday, I thought about it all night. For a while, I couldn't accept that the person I saw yesterday was my son, but that was stupid of me. Who you were yesterday and who you were when you tried to attack Miki-chan, that was still you. He gulps down the knot in his throat. But I know, you are not proud of that person, and I know you want to change. And I know that you will be able to, because there's nothing you can't do, Izuku. And I owe you an apology for not recognizing your suffering and for turning away, for not wanting to see how much you needed me in your darkest time. Fat tears roll down Izuku's cheeks, a sob shaking his entire frame as he shakes his head. No, Mom, you've always been the best mom I could ask for. He hiccups. Don't say that. Inko smiles sadly. Could you forgive me, Izuku? Izuku is not 4 anymore, but as she holds him, his son
Sobbing his heart out against her shoulder, Inko wishes they could go back to the simplicity and lightheartedness of those days. Then again, maybe not even those days have ever been so simple. The sand is soft and chilly under his naked feet. It's still a bit too early maybe, but Izuku ignores the thoughts and jumps into the shallow water lapping at the shore, making a big splash. It's cold! He yells, jumping out, and his mom laughs loudly from the tablecloth on the sand. He grins. Her laugh is the best sound in the world. He runs up and down the shore, the wet sand making a squishing sound under his feet, chasing the sounds of the seagulls that indignantly squeak and take flight if he gets too close. Sweetheart, don't make them too angry or they'll poop on you. If they do, I'll lead them to you. He yells back, laughing. He ends up tiring himself out after a while and stops, facing the sea that gently rumbles wave after wave. The sand is cold under his feet, and the gentle breeze encompasses him in a hug. He's not quite sure how far he is, but after a bit, he feels the presence of Mom walking up to him, silent. He must look a disaster, he thinks. He hasn't even tried to tame his hair that morning, and he still feels his nose stung after having cried so much. But he really doesn't care. He feels so light, like if he stretches his arms out, he will soar like the seagulls. Mom is a comforting presence near him. She always was. She always will be. He's so lucky. Mom? He says, head turned up at the sky. How do the seagulls look like? Izuku will never see the pain that flashes in his mother's eyes, and maybe that's for the best. Inko's voice is strong, not a sign of regret in it. She takes his hand and tells him of the seagulls. The rest of his days of suspension go by in a blur. They went out a lot, did things they never did before. They went to the library, picking up random books, Mom reading to him in a whisper. They went to the mall, Izuku trying to guess how many people were wearing red shirts nearby, Mom either booing or cheering him, depending on how close he had been. They went to a cat cafe, Izuku laughing as he ended up covered by warm, soft, purry cats. Instead of a punishment, the days felt more like a vacation. Wipe that satisfied, smug smile away from your face, mister. Mom reprimands him. It's almost as if she's read his mind. Well, I'm glad we had time to speak and reconnect. Do not forget you did get suspended. All right? Yes, Mom, he replies, chastised. But he knows she's also smiling. He'd be lying if he said that he wasn't a bit afraid of getting back to school. That's why when he steps outside and he hears Mom softly gasping, Miki-chan? He's absolutely delighted.
Good morning, Midoriya-san.
Miki says, cheerful.
Hey, Mr. Celebrity. Ready to get back to school?
Mr. Celebrity? Yeah, I guess. Well, I'm off, Mom. Have a good day. You too, sweetheart, she says, and the relief in her voice is so clear she might as well be screaming to the rooftops, my son has a friend again! Izuku chuckles at the thought, catching up to Miki, who is humming an off-key tune. Once they are far enough, he turns towards her. Mr. Celebrity? He vocalizes, confused. He can hear the grin in Miki's voice.
Oh, you have no idea.
Apparently, the entire, literally, school knows about the fact that he broke Kachan's nose. It's not surprising in retrospect. Kachan is pretty much a celebrity in their boringly normal middle school. Literally everyone knows who he is and who he will one day become. So the fact that he got his butt handed to him by a blind, quirkless Midoriya Izuku spread like wildfire. Oh, God! He whispers after Miki caught him up with the gossip. He's so not gonna be happy with this.
Oh, he's not,
she says in a forcefully uninterested tone.
but it's not like there's much he can do. Both of you are in the spotlight now. Everyone knows what a piece of crap he is, and if he dares turn a single hair on your head, everyone will turn against him. He's cornered and there's nothing he can do about it, and it's delightful.
Something dark squirms in his chest, something akin to vengeful pride, and a little voice whispers in his ear that he deserved it, really. Kachan deserved it all. But he made a promise. He promised he would not let All Might down again. He would strive to do better, always. Miki, he says, and the serious tone stops her in her tracks, her attention completely on him. I understand why you feel that way about Kachan, and I'm grateful for you wanting to look out for me, but
He hesitates, unsure about how to put into words his feelings. But what I did doesn't make me any better than him. And I made a promise. He continues, honest. I promised I would do better. So please don't say those things anymore. Because I think you are a good, kind person, Miki, and I have no doubt you can do better too. She's staring at him. He can feel it.
Okay.
She says after a while, and her voice sounds strangled, like she's almost in tears.
Let's do better. Together?
Izuku beams! Together.
Midoriya, that was like so cold!
He's not sure who the voice belongs to, but he hears Kachan's strangled, indignant noise behind him. But no explosions come. I appreciate the sentiment, he replies even. But I don't think I did a good thing, so please don't take example from it. The silence that follows tells him of exchanged looks between peers with working eyes, but he finds himself not being bothered by it. He walks to his desk, not adding anything more. The silence behind him. He's not sure what to make of it. What game are you playing? Izuku has just come out of the bathroom when the voice cornered him. I don't understand, he replies, sincere. Kachan's breath is hot on his face, dangerously close. What? You sucker punch me like a coward and now play the part of a little blind angel that can do no wrong. Do you find this funny? I apologized, Izuku replies, frozen in place. And I meant it. I'm sorry I hit you, Kachan. I don't want to play any game. Don't. Kachan interrupts him. Stop calling me that. You're so annoying. Izuku has nothing to reply with, so he does it. Okay, here's the deal. Kachan continues. I will keep living as if you don't exist and go to UA once I'm out of this place. And I will leave you behind in the dust where you belong. And if you even think of breathing in my general direction again, I will end you. Are we clear? I just want to be friends with you again, Izuku yells in his mind, but instead he says, Crystal. Kachan shoves him against the wall as if punctuating what he just said before walking away. Izuku takes a deep breath and tries not to cry. It's like 1 step forward, 3,000 steps backward, Kachan! Do better, All Might says in his mind. Do better, he repeats to himself. Do better. Do better! As life is, he finds himself having to break the unspoken promise of not breathing in Kachan's direction when his childhood friend gets kidnapped by a pile of sludge, and apparently no one but the blind boy seems up to the task of helping him. But that's a story that's yet far in the future. Ichigo-san makes a thoughtful hum after his proposition. He started to study under her again, and one day he stopped after a particularly brutal series of push-ups, an idea forming in his mind. Ichigo-san? He said, as the woman was just about to ask why he stopped. I was thinking, could we possibly add a form of meditation to my training? Meditation? She repeated. Izuku got back up on his feet, dabbing the sweat from his forehead away with his wrist. Yes, find myself troubled sometimes. Like I'm a rubber band stretched too far, about to snap. He explains thoughtful. Like when I attacked Miki and Bakugo. The words hang in the air unspoken. So I thought maybe something to help me stay focused could be useful. And Ichigo-san hummed. That's a good idea, actually, she says after a while. I'm afraid it is out of my area of expertise, though. Izuku deflates a bit. Don't make that face, kiddo, she says, ruffling his hair. I'll look into it and see what I can do. I have a lot of friends. I'm sure some of them will push us in the right direction. It turns out, meditation is exactly what Izuku had unknowingly needed to discover a whole new world that was just out of his reach. It started so slowly. Ichigo-san consulted with a friend, spoke to them about Izuku's situation, and together they studied something for him. Ichigo-san met him at the gym and put something in his hands. Try putting these on. Curious, Izuku palmed at the object. They felt like headphones, big and bulky, the type that completely covered his ears. Izuku didn't like those models at all, as they made it too hard for him to hear the outside world. Come on! Ichigo-san nudged him, and Izuku unwillingly complied. As soon as the headphones slipped over his ears, the entire world stopped existing. He could only hear the insistent thumping of his heart in his temples, his breath whooshing down towards his lungs. He scrambled to get them off, not even realizing he fell on his butt until the object fell down with a thud.
Noise-canceling headphones, Ichiko-san said. The really good kind.
Izuku blinked, slowly noticing his own short breathing.
I know you're scared,
Ichiko-san continued. That's why I asked Miki not to attend with us today. I'm sure you wouldn't have liked to have her see you like this. Izuku gulped, slowly rising back up to his feet. His knees felt like jelly.
I know you rely only on sound to orientate yourself.
She put a gentle hand on his shoulder.
I can't imagine how it must feel for you, but I honestly think these will help you find yourself.
Izuku turned his head up, wondering how Ichiko-san looked like in that moment.
Go deep and find yourself, Izuku,
she whispered, and those words were enough for Izuku to know this woman, deeply, unwavering, believed in him. Slowly, he nodded. It was so hard at first and so slow. The headphones scared him. They left him open and vulnerable. Someone could sneak up on him and plant a knife in his back, and he'd be none the wiser until the blade would have sunk deeply into his body. Sometimes the silence, the absolute lack of anything, made him feel so little and so lost, and he'd have to scramble to get the headphones off, tears staying in his eyes. Ichiko-san wouldn't comment, guiding him through a series of breathing exercises instead. Izuku managed to put the headphones on without completely panicking a little longer every time. And then he started to take them home. And then he started to put them on the subway while going to and from school. The first time he tried that, he almost puked on a poor unsuspecting woman that kindly asked him if he felt sick. It was so utterly terrifying to be isolated in that way while surrounded by perfect strangers. But he pushed on. Do better. The first time it happened, Izuku was so confused. Mom? I think something is wrong, he said over breakfast. He explained to her of the lights. He started to feel lights, faint like dying stars barely visible in a city-polluted night sky. But they were there nonetheless, tickling at his brain. Izuku had a taste of a period of his life he'd long forgotten as he got driven back and forth from doctor to doctor trying to understand what was wrong with him. But nothing came up, just as nothing came up when he lost his sight at the age of 4. His eyes were still not working, unseeing. They even scanned his brain in fear of something bad growing in there, but he came out of it perfectly clear. They were left only with a whole lot of nothing in the end. But these lights, Mom asked, do you think they are, lamp lights? Something like that? Izuku shook his head. He was not getting his sight back. This was something else. It was hard to explain. I don't know, he replied in the end. I don't know how to explain this. When I'll find the right words, I will tell you. Okay, honey, Mom whispered, a gentle hand covering his. It didn't take long for him to finally click the pieces into place, only he was finally given a rest from all this doctor visiting. It was the headphones. Of course, it was not the headphones per se, but something shifted in him from the moment he'd started using them to meditate. Something that maybe had always been there, and he just hadn't known until the chance was given to him. He could not rely on hearing anymore when he wore them, so something had to change. Something was forced to change and grow stronger. Izuku had a theory, and he was going to test it as much as possible.
Ingo smiled as she watched her son almost vibrate with excitement. He told her he had a surprise to show all of them when they'd next meet at Ichiko-san's gym on a Sunday, and once they arrived, the same kind of smile opened on Ichiko and Miki's faces when they witnessed Izuku's plain happiness. Okay, Izuku took in a deep breath. Okay, so there's something I want to try, so hear me out. They were sitting with their back against the wall, the 4 of them. Izuku fished his noise-canceling headphones from his shoulder sack and walked into the center of the room. I'm gonna put these on, he explained. The 3 of you, I need you to walk around me, choose a random spot in the gym, and stand there. I'll give you 15 seconds, okay? They exchanged puzzled looks, but they complied once Izuku slipped the headphones on and started to count.
At the end of the 15 seconds, Inko expected to see him take off the headphones. But that didn't happen. Instead, Izuku slowly turned around himself. Then he walked toward Miki, which was the closest to him. He put the point of his fingers on her shoulders. "Miki," he said. Inko jumped, her eyes going wide. Izuku made his careful way toward Ichiko-san, put his fingers on her arm. "Ichiko-san!" He was smiling. Then he turned and walked towards her, not a step out of place, making a beeline for her. The walk seemed endless. His hand was hot on her cheek. "Mom," he said softly, "I can see you." Chaos ensued. Izuku slipped off the headphones and Inko started bawling. Hugging him so tight, Izuku made a noise not
Like a squeaky toy.
Ichiko-san was speechless, her mouth open in a perfect "oh," as was Miki's, before she yelled and started jumping up and down, laughing.
Izuku, that was sick!
She exclaimed.
How did you do that?
"Mom, I can't breathe! Mom! Mom!" Izuku was palming at her forearm and she finally let him go. He took a big gulping breath before smiling timidly. I take it the experiment was successful." He added, a little blush rising to his freckled cheeks.
Successful? That was super insane, dude! How?
Miki yelled, jumping on her, too excited to stand still. Inko dabbed the tears out of her eyes, adding with a trembling voice, I think we will all love to hear how." Izuku beamed. He told them of the lights, of his experiments. He told them how he'd made his way to school and back for an entire week, ditching his cane, wearing the headphones. Inko thought she might have a heart attack right there and then. He told them of the lights. It's hard to explain," he said, gesturing wildly. "It's like everything has a light. Everything. And if I concentrate, I could feel it. And every person has a light too, and everyone is different. Miki, do you remember when I sneaked up on you the other day and you thought your classmates helped me prank you? It wasn't like that. I just focused and I could feel your light, your very own light in the middle of the cafeteria, and I knew it was you, even if we were surrounded by hundreds of other students."
You little shit!
Miki replied, but there was no venom in her voice, only happiness, deep and truly. "I wanted to make sure, today." Izuku scratched at the back of his head. "I mean, I'm not that good at it yet. I still need a lot of concentration. It took me so long to pinpoint you in the cafeteria with the headphones, but I think that's it. This is it." What, sweetheart?" Inko asked, breathless. "This is my quirk." Inko wondered what kind of cruel guy would take her son's ability to see away just to give him back a different kind. But seeing Izuku's unadulterated joy at his discovery, seeing him trying and failing to explain what he could see now. "It's like feeling colors that I don't remember existing, Mom. I wish I could show you." With a huge smile on his face, she couldn't find it in herself to be mad. Izuku wasn't quirkless anymore. And in his own personal way, he wasn't blind anymore. What could a mother possibly ask for? Ichiko-san took the news in great stride and with gusto.
We are gonna take these lights and we are gonna make them so strong people will envy your ability to see.
She said,
"By God, Izuku, I will make you the hero with the best eyesight in the world if it's the last thing I do."
"Yeah!" Izuku yelled, pumping his fist into the air. Miki sometimes felt like Izuku was walking too fast for her. Hell, he wasn't walking, he was sprinting in full force. He was so far already, somewhere where she couldn't reach anymore, and sometimes the thought made her sad. But most of the time she was just happy.
You know, I don't think the call of the hero, it's for me,
she said to him once.
But I like your idea. Being useful and helping others. I like that. I think I could do something like that.
Whatever you will decide to do, you will be great at it. Izuku replied, dead serious. You already saved me, after all. Days went by so fast, it's as if they flied. Izuku, thrown himself body and mind in his training, he and Ichigo-san studied together so many ways to refine his newfound ability. Izuku spent a considerable amount of time strategizing, testing, and stretching the limits of his quirk, throwing all kinds of ideas at the wall and see what stuck. He still had limits. He still couldn't read a street sign or a text without the voiceover. He still couldn't order from a menu without having someone read it to him. He still couldn't see the new All Might merchandise he's sure he'd love. But he could feel so much more. He could feel Milky from 3 blocks away, her light faint in the distance and yet unmistakable. He could feel Gachan's nervous, jittering energy and avoid him accordingly. What can you do? He could find his way through a crowd easily. He could put a name into his mind to every little road and shop around his school by the way the light of those walking the streets reflected on them. He could feel if someone was angry or sad or happy or all sorts of feelings, really. He could easily sidestep those that still thought it was funny to try bump into him on purpose. He could recognize a friendly cat and pet it, and stay away from an angry dog defending its territory. He could feel the water full of life, even if it was only puddles left after the rain, and jump over it. There was so much to feel, and Izuku filled his eyes with it until he felt his brain could explode. As life likes to do, more surprises awaits him. He ends up meeting his number 1 hero in an underpass as he makes his way back home, happily humming to himself. He perceives something amiss in his radar, as he started to call his quirk, a light behind him that seems to suddenly come from below, and he dodges just in time the attack of something smelly and sounding quite unpleasant.
Damn, kid.
The thing says,
You're fast.
"Maybe you're just slow?" he asks instead, and the thing growls, ready to attack again. Izuku dodges attack after attack, thinking he has his backpack, but not much of use in there, except for his folded cane. He doesn't really use it anymore, and he just brings it with him out of habit, so it might as well make for a decent weapon. "Do not worry, for I am here!" The booming, familiar voice freezes him in place, and he takes a muddy smack to the face. "Ew, gross!" he mutters to himself, shaking the offending semi-liquid away. When he focuses back after the hit, there's no way he could possibly mistake who is in front of him, even had he not recognized the voice. All Might's light is all-encompassing. "Are you okay, boy?" "Yes," he stammers. God, his favorite person in the whole world, besides Mom and Milky and Ichigo-san, is right in front of him. He thinks he's allowed a bit of over-emotion. "Good. Please step back while I take care of this villain." "Yes, sir." Like he's going to argue with All Might. He's not quite sure what is going on as All Might struggles with the villain, so Izuku forces himself to focus. He could use this opportunity, trying to concentrate and see in his own way, trying to distinguish between the movements. All Might is almost easy to feel. His sheer power is elegant. His punch is perfect. Old memories of a time when he could still see that amazing smile and the blonde hair comes back to him, and he's 4 years old all over again. The other, not so easy. Izuku imagines he must be some sort of shapeshifter, seeing the unpredictable way his light moves. He's hard to make out at first, but Izuku focuses and focuses until he can really feel the mud. Of course, the guy's body must be made completely out of mud. Something rolls and gently stops right at Izuku's feet. He bobs down, realizing All Might must have dropped whatever he was carrying in order to help him. When Izuku feels the neck of a bottle under his fingers, an idea forms in his mind. "Please, do not waste my time," All Might says. He's not taunting, his voice is open and honest. "We both know there's no way you could win this fight, so I think it's better if you come with me willingly."
Screw you.
The villain yells in All Might's eyes. "All Might, sir! Touch!" Izuku yells and throws. He trusts in his aim. He has practiced his aim until his arms felt like they were about to fall off, and his stomach tried to rebel to him over and over and over. All Might catches. "Imprison him!" Izuku yells. He cannot be sure, but it feels like All Might is smiling at him right now. "Good thinking, boy!" Oh god, the face! Izuku is dying! The fight doesn't last long after that, and the villain ends up humiliatingly imprisoned in a soda bottle. Toshinori slips it in his pants pocket as the young boy collected his few groceries and is now handing them to him with a smile that could light up a room. "My thanks," he says, smiling back. "What is your name, boy?" "I'm Izuku Midoriya, sir," the boy replies, excited, looking up at him. And Toshinori looks into the unmoving, washed-out green into milky white pupils visible behind the mess of curly hair and realizes the boy is blind. The boy that he distinctly saw dodge a series of fairly quick attacks, light on his feet, and clearly used to some kind of training. The boy that had thrown him the battle at the perfect height and perfect speed. The boy that has easily collected his spilled groceries and orderly put them back into the little plastic bag. The boy is blind.